We're going to chat about some of the current health and wellness trends that I am keeping my eye on, keeping a pulse on, especially throughout the summer. Welcome back to Wellness Fixes the Pod. I'm your host, Dr. Kelsey Vick, a board-certified orthopedic doctor of physical therapy and a pelvic floor physical therapist. And you guys know I try and keep this podcast as science-backed, as research-backed as possible, but sometimes science and research takes 5 to 10 years in order for something to become mainstream. So I like to combine some of the trendier things that I'm hearing about that I'm questioning, a little bit more of the woo-woo out there things with some of the science and the physiological happenings within our body to know, oh wait, there's a little bit of a basis to stand on with this like woo-woo trend based on how our body processes or handles a certain compound or routine or behavior or something like that. So I like to hear about some of the trends. I like to hear about some of the more out there things because previously there's so many things that we have adopted in our everyday lives that used to be woo-woo and out there. So it's important that we, I guess, keep an eye on some of the trends, but then also compare it to how we know and how we understand how the body works in order to know, okay, is this something that I should be giving a little bit of merit to, or is it something that is completely woo-woo? There's no scientific basis for it at all, and I should just brush it away and move along. So we're going to talk about some of those today, and some of them are more physiology related, and then some of them are more just trends that I've noticed on social media and things that I'm sure you guys are also hearing about too. So the first one's my favorite and one that I think we'll be hearing about more and more, almost like the big colostrum push, the big greens powder push. I think this will be in the same vein as that, and that is the rise of butter, cheese, and dairy products for longevity. This one's relatively new, but I link it back to, remember, I don't know if you guys had any of your parents or friends' parents or family members who used to say, don't eat the yolk because it has high cholesterol in it, until we realized that, okay, no, it's okay to eat the yolk because it still has the good cholesterol in it as well. It used to be that cholesterol, all types of cholesterol were bad. Same thing with olive oil. All oils used to be bad, and now it's okay, wait, maybe there is some benefit to some of the good fats that are in oils. This, I think, is along those same lines, and they're finding newer and newer research that there is a compound in 1 to 3% dairy fat products called C15 that has been shown to improve some of the longevity metrics in our cardiovascular health, our metabolic health, our immune system, our liver health. So they're saying it's this longevity compound that people who do not have enough of this in their system might not have as high of those markers that we want when we are aging or as we get to those decades of our lives. So what even is C15? C15 is called, like the, I guess, non-layperson term, it's called pentadecanoic acid, and it's an essential odd-chain saturated fatty acids. Side note, saturated fats used to be also in that same line as cholesterol and oils. Like saturated fats were bad. We want to stay away from saturated fats. And yes, like we do want to watch them, but we don't want to stay away from them because they are essential. And there are some like C15 that are essential. So the research has shown people with low circulating C15 concentrations have a higher risk of having or developing type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, as well as specific types of cancer. And that study was done in 2023. So a relatively newly researched longevity metric to look at. So where is C15 found? Items with 1 to 3% dairy fat, aka whole fat dairy products like butter, milk, cream, and cheeses. And it's been shown that 100 to 300 milligrams of C15 is needed to maintain minimum active circulating levels of C15 for those physiological benefits. So again, something to keep my eye on a little bit and to basically decrease some of the fears surrounding butter, creams, cheeses, because I know that's also been a big one where people are like, no, butter's bad for you. But maybe if it does have this longevity compound in it, it could be beneficial for us in the right dosages. So the next trend that I've just been noticing is this swing from super regimented, super disciplined biohacking to focusing on the basics. I feel like people are getting tired and burnt out of having to wake up a certain hour, time their sunlight exposure, make sure they're minimizing blue light, minimizing toxicity within their environment, exercising and getting the strength training in, the cardiovascular training, the power training, the red light therapy, all of these things. It gets a little overwhelming. And I feel like a lot of people are starting to block out some of the biohacking and start to shift more towards an intuitiveness within their body and focusing on the basics: exercise or movement of some sort, sleep, stress management, proper fueling, mindfulness, meditation, all of these sort of foundational principles. And I'm really loving this shift because I do enjoy learning about the different biohacking things that we can do and the different things that we can do to trick our system in order to elevate our dopamine levels or improve our circadian rhythm and different things like that. But I do feel like that is like a 10% of our health and wellness, where the rest, the 80 to 90%, comes from mastering the basics. So if we're not getting sleep, if we're not moving properly or enough, if we're not fueling in the right way, if we're not managing our stress, which again, easier said than done, but all of those basics probably make up 80 to 90% of our overall health and wellness. And so I feel like we've been focusing on that 10% or trying to biohack our way to health, when in reality, we really do need to spend most of our time focusing on those basics. So I am really loving that shift. Another trend I've noticed, especially on social media, is the rise of Skinnytok. And I've been hearing about this more and more, but I wasn't necessarily getting served those sorts of videos. So I wasn't as aware of it as I am now that I am getting served more and more of those videos and like actually looking into it and researching it for this episode. But the idea is that there are these creators who are promoting Skinnytok, or riding that line between motivational and then toxic for getting the aesthetic and body composition goals that you want for yourself, i.e. Skinnytok. So if you've been served some of these videos and you have a history of body image issues or eating disorders, this can become very toxic. And I never like to demonize aesthetic goals that people have, as long as they are healthy goals, and that people realize that there are healthy ways to go about reaching those body composition and aesthetic goals. And I feel like Skinnytok can ride on either side of that line, where it can be toxic for the people who maybe have a history of body image issues or eating disorders, but it might also be motivational for some people who are struggling to make those healthy behavior changes. So I think what's important with this is just understanding where your mindset is, where your history is when it comes to those sorts of issues that we've all probably struggled with at one time or another, and realizing, am I doom scrolling and getting in this negative mindset around Skinnytok in these videos that I'm seeing? Or is it more motivational and it's promoting some of these healthier habits within my day-to-day routine that might help me reach different goals that I have? And I have seen Skinnytok videos that are completely toxic and do not ride that line at all, but I have seen some where they do ride more on that motivational side. So I think it just comes down to awareness of where your thought patterns are and then stopping it in its tracks. Or I don't know if you can on TikTok say, I don't want to see this kind of video anymore, or like pausing that and just creating that boundary for yourself and your own mental health. And the last trend that I've been noticing goes into that shift from super regimented biohacking to more mastering the basics. And that is this comfort creator, soft girl mindset surrounding your health and wellness, where it's not as regimented, but eating pastas and putting butter on your pastas, or eating chips every now and then with a girls' movie night. Like, I see this trend where people are realizing that the relationships they build with others around food, especially, are more important than making sure that they are eating gluten-free, organic-free, dairy-free, sugar-free all the time. And I like that this shift is happening. This is not including girls with allergy restrictions. I totally understand that. So if you are truly allergic to gluten, allergic to dairy, this is not for you. But I do feel like there are some of us who have been limiting certain things, thinking that it's healthy for us, whether that's butter, whether that's real noodles, whether that is chips that we're eating with friends or cookies that we're eating at a movie night. When in reality, relationships and the quality of your relationships is one of the top predictors of your happiness throughout life. So I'm seeing this shift from regimented routines and being super disciplined in those health behaviors that someone might adopt, to this flexibility within their daily lives. It's okay to just cook yummy food and eat homemade pizza and harvest different herbs for the salad that we're making, or whatever it might be. And I'm loving this shift. There's a few creators that I follow who just promote some of this mindset, and I really feel like they're growing in popularity because of the relaxed way that they approach life and health and wellness. And I like being able to see that from others and knowing that other people are also getting that content and possibly shifting that super regimented mindset of health and wellness is only this. We can only eat this way. We can only exercise this way. When in reality, it can be different for everyone, and it can be and it should be this flexibility within your life to incorporate some of these health and wellness behaviors while still like keeping it fun and keeping it, I guess, not even focused on health and wellness necessarily, but thinking about friendships and relationships and all of these larger variables that go into having a wonderful life. So these are just some of the trends that I've been noticing, especially throughout the summer, and they're picking up pace a little bit more. And some of them I'm loving, some of them I'm wary of, and some of them I'm just going to keep an eye on a little bit to see how they develop and how the research comes out about them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you also have learned something about some of the new trends and are open to them, but then also realizing like, okay, there is this healthy way to approach trends by also looking at how our body functions. So that's where I hope this episode and this podcast meets you at. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you again on the next episode of Wellness Big Sis the Pod.